Good morning, my name is Les Mitchell. I'm being responsible for painting the commemorative thistles for Haddington Community Council, and I've been asked to make this video of what the process actually involves, probably more than most people think. First thing to do is to give the thistle as it comes from the blacksmith a run over with wire brush. Takes off any surface rust. And this is the raw product now ready for painting, and we'll see that process just in a moment. Alright, so we have the raw material here all cleaned up, and next process is to fit it onto this little jig that I made here, which will do 4 of these at one go. However, we're just doing one for demonstration purposes today. Just tighten the brackets up a wee bit at the back there. And the first stage of the painting process is the first of 2 coats of red lead primer, which we found was required because some of the earlier thistles that we painted were deteriorating quite quickly in the outside weather conditions, and so we had to come up with another plan for better preparation of the thistle before we applied the top coat. And this is what we've come up with. This is primer, red lead primer, or a red primer. I don't think it's anything other than red. Hope so in the video anyway. And just a quick going over all of the metal with this. Takes a couple of minutes. You don't have to be too careful with this stuff because it actually dries to quite a nice finish, even though it's being slapped on. And doing all the front faces, all the little nooks and cranny bits of the petals of the thistle. You see, quite a quick process. And this is, as I said, the first of 2 coats to go on. Steel that these are made of will deteriorate quite quickly unless we give it the ultimate protection. You've got to bear in mind that this park where these are being affixed to the fence is quite near the road, and in the winter there's quite a lot of salt wash off if it's a windy day and cars are going by and the roads are salty wet. So it's important that we get all of the thing covered, and I think that's probably it for the first coat. That'll take about 2 hours to dry properly, 3 maybe, and then we'll apply the second coat, and we'll see that shortly. Okay, so 2-3 hours have passed by. The first coat of the oxide paint has been made ready, so just a very quick second coat going on. We found that 2 coats is better than 1, obviously, and I'm fairly certain that from a longevity point of view, you know, bearing in mind that these things are going to be out in all weather, that 2 coats of this stuff is still probably better than 1. So again, it's really just the same process. 2 coats of black gloss will go on, and that's a full fat black Dulux 10-year guarantee oil paint, not water based and oil based paint, to give it maximum resistance to the weathering, which it's obviously going to get on the fence once it's been installed. So there we are, that's coat number 2 on, and again we'll have to leave that to dry for 3 or 4 hours before the black gloss goes on. That'll be stage 3, and we'll see that when this is dried. Okay, so the next stage of the painting process, now that the two red undercoats are done, is to spray the top purple fronds, and this is simply a spraying process. This gets 2 coats, and a little bit of overspray there, we can just wipe that off, not a problem. Turn it round. I'm just masking off the bottom part so everything doesn't get covered in purple. And again, a little bit of overspray. This will get covered in black, the overspray anyway, but I normally just wipe it off. And that's the first coat of purple applied. That'll take about 3 hours to dry before we can put the second coat on, and we'll see that process shortly. Okay, so that's the first coat of purple dry now, and we'll just likewise apply the second coat. Okay, now we have 2 coats of purple paint fully dried, and it's onto the black paint now. And as I said earlier, this is what I call a full fat, full oil based paint from Dulux as it happens. Guaranteed an external paint for wood or metal, and it takes quite a bit of time to cure this paint. The painting process is much the same as the other red lead paint we've put on as an undercoat. Just giving a very quick but quite light coat to start with on this. I'm taking the view that 2 light coats of this type of paint is better than one big heavy one, because I've found that the heavy coating tends to blob on the underside of the leaves under here, and it takes quite a bit of time to cure this paint. Certainly properly cure about a month, I would say, before it's fully dry. So just a question of, like the red lead, going into it, all the nits and crevices. And I think this is the 99th thistle that I've done this way. When John Hamilton, the treasurer of the Community Council, said to me 9 months ago, maybe more, "Les, I've got a wee project I'd like you to get involved in with me." I said, "Oh yes, John, what's that?" Little did I know. A wee project. These were his exact words. John, if you're watching this, this was not a wee project. However, in trying to make every thistle exactly the same as number 1, I think I've largely succeeded. I'm trying to make every thistle as good as I can make it for the soldiers who died in the First World War. So there we are, that's first coat of black on there, and we'll resume this tomorrow with the second coat. And then after that I have to prepare the brass nameplate that will go on the front, and there's quite a bit of work involved in that as well, lacquering it and fixing on with the black silicone. All of those processes we'll see in due course. A little bit of touch up there. There we go, that's it for now. Alright, now I haven't bored everybody with showing them how to paint the second coat on the thistle, which I've already done. So it's had 2 coats of lead primer, and it's now had 2 coats of purple on the top and 2 coats of black front and back. And the next stage, now that the second coat is dry, is to affix the nameplate onto the thistle. Now, because in the manufacturing process of the thistle this is not entirely flat, I have to put a small bend into the brass plate to make it fit before I fix it on with some black silicone. So you can see when I place it on here that there's a bit of rocking going on, and the simple answer to that is just to bend it using a little bit of thumb pressure to make sure that when the black bitumen or black silicone goes on, that it's sitting nice and level like that. So now that we've done that, we can head for the black silicone, and the process for this is fairly straightforward. Just have to apply some to the back of the thistle like this. Turn it over, clear my fingers of any black silicone, don't want that on the front, and line it up with the bracket on the back, getting it as centrally as possible. Make sure my fingers are clear, and then just pressing it on firmly until the silicone squidges out all around. Just another look to make sure that it's level with the bracket at the back, so that when it goes on the fence, the nameplate is level. Just a little bit more at the back here. And there we go. You probably can't see the silicone that's oozed out there. Now let that dry and then take a fine blade and slice that off so that it's nice and neat and ready for installing on the fence. And that fundamentally is the process. I suppose each one takes about, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, perhaps about half an hour in total for each thistle to get it prepared in this way.